All right, so the last module in the F group is on surplus and obsolete material. This is our sourcing cycle we were studying in test one. And we studied all of this stuff in test one, with the exception of disposal of excess scrap or surplus, which is what we're looking at today. So conduct investment recovery activities for surplus obsolete materials. So financial objectives. Material that exceeds a reasonable demand within the organization is surplus or obsolete. Objective is to sell both surplus and obsolete material for the highest possible gain. Basically get it off your books at its maximum value. Maximizing value is the primary objective, and establishing a baseline value. Often published guides will help determine values such as Kelley Blue Book for used cars, etc. Book value of an item. This is the original purchase price minus recorded depreciation, which works good for capital assets, but not usually for inventory. And fair market value, the price an item can command in the open market, given its condition, which is usually what you're going to get for your inventory items. So the percentage of $1 of book value that you can expect to recover for a given condition of an asset. And this really only applies to a very, very narrow set of capital assets like machinery, because you're never going to get this kind of money for inventory. New and original condition, you get the dollar for a dollar. Like new, 90 cents on the dollar, or solid working condition, 85 cents, refurbishing, 50 cents, rebuilding, 40 cents, and appropriate for salvage, 30 cents. And again, this is a select group of capital assets that's in demand. Investment recovery principles, process to manage the surplus, obsolete, and scrap activities to recover as much investment as possible. So usually when you've got excess inventory, you're going to use a broker or a dealer to get rid of it. The difference, broker is a third party who will sell inventory and assets for a fee. So they'll get a listing of all the inventory that you want to get rid of. I mean, there's also brokers for office furniture and other stuff too. And the broker's not going to buy it from you. He's going to work off a commission if he sells it. And you're going to get 2 to 10 cents on the dollar for this stuff, unless it's really high demand stuff like chips today. Dealer, on the other hand, that works similar to a broker, but he will buy the inventory from you and then resell it and book the profit. So the broker does not take possession of it. They only get a commission. The dealer will take possession and buy it from you. Usually you'll get even less from the dealer. And they'll usually only want items they know they can resell easily. They don't want a whole bunch of stuff because they know nobody wants it. Third-party specialists, many companies will contract with a third party to handle maintenance and spare parts. The third party will own the inventory and sell it on the open market if it needs to. So if you hire third-party specialists for maintaining your generators, you don't have to worry about having excess parts. Internal reuse and recycle. Reuse has become very common in IT organizations. Digital components and software code lend themselves to this well. Organizations also recycle materials. Benefits include reduction in landfill, rebates, and improving the organization's image. So reduce, reuse, and recycle, the 3 R's. Reduce and reuse first, recycle last. Auction, type of public sale for assets often done online. The government does this with a lot of their excess office furniture and vehicles and everything else. Commercial sites such as liquidators.com offer asset auctions. Trade-ins and new equipment will also recoup significant values for your assets. If you're talking automobile company cars, then maybe. But if you're talking office furniture, that stuff is hard to move. Nobody wants old office furniture, or very few people. Bid method. Interested in buyers submit written bids to the organization for surplus assets, and assets can be offered to employees at discount prices. And then finally, there's donations. You can get a tax deduction if it's something that a nonprofit could use. And then there's always throwing it away. Round file. Sales to employees, offer items to employees at significant discount, can recoup significantly more than using brokers or dealers. You might get 30 or 40 cents on the dollar as opposed to 2 to 10 cents. And secure disposal. Ownership must be documented during the disposal of excess inventory. Numerous government agencies set standards for the disposal of goods and equipment. OSHA for one, EPA for another. The security of disposed products in the US. And in Europe, you've got ROHS and the WEEE. Restriction of Hazardous Substances Directive usually affects electronic components. And the waste electrical equipment rules apply to good solid market. The rules prevent items from going to landfills. So they don't want all their tech stuff going to landfills. 2008, the EU amended the ROHS, took effect in 2011, extends its restrictions to all electronic equipment, cables, and spare parts. So that kind of stuff is, you have to be careful in the EU. And then California also, because they have similar laws. Surplus inventory. Any inventory that's greater than the current of future planned demand. Usually at PACCAR, we look at, is it more than a month? Surplus inventory is usually caused by order point lot sizes or ECNs that reduce demand for the part. PACCAR doesn't usually worry about lot sizes because we're so big that we don't usually deal with that. But what we do deal with is ECNs that phase out the part pretty quickly. So the part is either only going to be used by PACCAR parts in the aftermarket, or it's obsolete and no longer any demand for the part. And that's just due to an ECN or engineering change notice. PPD, which is PACCAR parts, still has demand for the part. It's not obsolete in PACCAR, it's service only. If the part is replaced by a better part, the older part will be obsolete at PACCAR. And obsolescence is the killer. This is why you don't want to stock up on inventory. Because as soon as you get an ECN and you got all this stuff because you got a big lot to get a cheap price and it's all sitting on your shelf, and then your engineers go and say, we don't need it anymore. Damaged goods, where rework or repair are impractical, inventory adjustment is completed to classify the item as non-nettable to MRP. So usually you will put this in some location that's non-nettable. This is usually accomplished by classifying the part as an NCP or non-conforming product. Goes to the Material Review Board location, or MRB. Expired inventory that is past its use by date in the package. And slow-moving inventory, stuff that's just sitting on the shelf and you might sell one a year. There are enough on the organization shelf to last a year or more at present demand. You need to get rid of some of it. All right. Which of the following is the most cost-effective approach when examining the potential for an investment recovery program? Meaning, are you going to get your money back for some surplus or obsolete material? Most cost-effective. Direct materials cost modeling, that makes no sense. Life cycle management, maybe. First in, first out, last in, first out. These are accounting conventions. Most cost-effective
Bravo,
approach.
right?
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, really, it's the only one that makes any sense to me, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's right. Let's see what they have to say. Bravo it is, though. Yeah. As Vice President of Operations, Julio Juarez understands the control and security of products destined for disposal extends well beyond his organization. Which of the following is the most important to Julio when determining how to dispose of products effectively and lawfully? Applying an inventory classification? No. Applying LIFO, and these are accounting conventions. BILO, first in, last out. Understanding and adhering to worldwide and local laws governing disposal, that's probably.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah, that's what I would go with. Let's see what we got here. Charlie, it is. All right. There are 7 questions out there, so go ahead and start working on them. Just raise your hand when you get done. F13. I think we just saw this question. All right, let's go over some answers here. Number 1 is delta, because it provides a strategy for dealing with investment recovery at the beginning of the process. 2 is also delta. This one was a little tricky because the goods are damaged and therefore not usable elsewhere in the organization, and you were looking for an except. 3 is bravo. Technical knowledge of waste disposal is not necessary for commercial disposition process. You were looking for an except there too. 4 is also bravo. Finding internal uses for surplus or scrap is generally the preferred choice when possible. Internal use may be less costly and can meet needs that may otherwise require purchase of additional materials. 5 is also bravo. It's correct because the excess inventory on the shelf is not compatible with the new parts that are on the drawing, so these parts cannot be used elsewhere by Acme. Or anywhere else. 6 is Charlie. Unless there is an ability to reuse the inventory internally, sending the material back to the supplier, even with high restocking fees, is the highest payback. And then you can look at the math here. And 7, book value is the price paid for the asset minus any accumulated depreciation. So they're depreciating at $12.50 a year, and $12.50 times 5 is $62.50, and then you minus that from the 10,000 and you get $37.50. Any questions? Right. We start in on Monday for 2 days on project management, and then we're done.
Sweet. Thanks, Rick.
All right. See you, Katie.